I'll get you, my pretty, and your little dog, too. This, along with many other quotes, have helped a certain movie become #1 in the top fantasy films. This movie is The Wizard of Oz. A lot of you have probably seen this movie, and I'm here to tell you a little bit of information that you might not know. This includes what the cast members made, how they created their outfits, and some directing styles and tips that were used in the past to help make this movie. Let's start with the cast members. You might think that Dorothy, being the main character, made the most in this movie. If you think that, think again. Judy Garland, who played Dorothy, only made $500 a week. That might seem like a lot to you guys, but back then, it wasn't a lot for a star. Only 2 other characters made less than her, one of which was Toto, who made $125 a week. The other one was the Munchkins, who only made $50 a week. All the other actors received more than Dorothy did. These actors include Charlie Grapewin, who was Uncle Henry, and Clara Blandick, who was Auntie Em. They made $750 a week. Billy Burke, who was the Good Witch, made $766.67 a week. Now compared to Margaret Hamilton, the Wicked Witch, that's me, only made $1,000 a week. Buddy Ebsen was the Tin Man at the beginning of the movie. He made $1,500 a week. Bert Lahr, who was the Cowardly Lion, and, if you remember him, the farmhand Zeke, he made $2,500 a week, along with Fran Morgan, who had 5 roles in this movie. He was Professor Marvel, the guard at the gate, the cabbie driver, the soldier, and the Wizard of Oz. Finally, Ray Bolger, who was a scarecrow, and Jack Haley, who was the Tin Man after Ebsen left the show, made $3,000 a week. Now that's enough talk about money. Let's talk about those crazy outfits. 3 outfits in this movie were so scary that they had to eat in their dressing rooms because the people in the cafeteria were too afraid of them. These costumes were the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, and the Cowardly Lion. The Cowardly Lion's costume weighed 90 pounds, and his makeup made it really hard for him to eat. There were 2 takes taken with the Wicked Witch. You remember the part where she comes out of the fire? They had to use the first take on that, because in the second take, she got 1st and 2nd degree burns on her hands. Now, Oz seems like a magical place, but how magical is it really? You remember the horses that change colors? Well, what do you think made those colors? I bet you would never guess. It was Jell-O. They decorated the horses with Jell-O to help them with their magic changing colors. They had to tape this really fast in order to make it so the horses didn't eat it. Now, if you were thinking that directing back then was the same as directing today, you are way wrong. Today we have computers that can stimulate images such as the Twister that took place in Kansas. They didn't have that back then, so they had to improvise. The improvising done this way was a pantyhose. They got a 30-some foot long pantyhose and spun it around. That was the Twister that hit their farm. Now, in this movie, people have noticed that there's been shadows and there's been some creepy things that have happened. But overall, when you see the Scarecrow and you see Dorothy, when they go to skip down the Yellow Brick Road singing "We're Off to See the Wizard," you can see all the equipment and its shadows on the Yellow Brick Road. One last thing. About directing. During this movie, when Dorothy has to slap the Cowardly Lion for chasing Toto, Judy could not get this scene down. She just kept laughing every time she had to slap him. So the director took her aside and slapped her. She managed to do this scene in one take. Now, I have told you 3 things about The Wizard of Oz. 1, how much the cast made. 2, what their costumes consisted of. And 3, a little bit of the directing style. Now, all these characters have passed on. And today, that doesn't really matter. They're still going to be remembered because there are costumes and even more movies made to represent the Wizard of Oz. I have to show you guys again.